It does not represent justice in America when dark money is fueling elections and when the few who have the greatest amount of wealth behind a veil without even presenting themselves or their names manipulate and fuel the election process. That does not represent justice in America. We've got to take that money out of politics.
That was then junior Senator Kamala Harris, who at the time was vehemently against dark money in politics, even co-sponsoring legislation that would reveal the identities of big donors. But according to new reporting from The Lever, Harris appears to have done an about-face, reaping the benefits from dark money. As the outlet's reporter Helen Santoro reveals, the Democratic nominee has raked in millions from secret donors, including a $20 million contribution from a main donor, Future Forward USA Action.
Harris hasn't been forthcoming about the mega money pouring in, yet she has yet to release the names of her bundlers. Joining us now to dive into all of this deeper is Helen Santoro, reporter for The Lever. Helen, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Helen, I wonder if you could just take a few moments and take us through your reporting in terms of what you have found thus far in terms of campaign spending this cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things my team and I wanted to look into was specifically dark money with Democrats. The wonderful watchdog group, Open Secrets, that looks specifically at money in politics and tracks it, had found that there's been an unprecedented surge of this dark money this election cycle, and that Democratic candidates have been the ones benefiting even more than Republican candidates. So it seemed only fair for us to dive into the presidential Democratic candidate, Kamala Harris. And through looking through FEC records, we found exactly what you said, that there's been tens of millions of dollars donated to the Harris campaign from the dark money group called Future Forward USA Action that donates to the super PAC Future Forward. As typically, you know, dark money, there's a lot of paths to go through before it gets to the campaign. And the super PAC Future Forward was the main one supporting Biden before he dropped out of the race. So we thought that that was pretty big information that needed to be brought to light, particularly given Harris's past, what she said in the past about dark money in politics.
Yeah, that's a pretty big about face. I of course, am wondering about the motivation. Do you think that she just realized running for president is really expensive and maybe she needs the money and isn't too concerned that people such as yourself are going to realize that she said something differently in the past? Has she addressed this at all, or anyone on her campaign?
No, she hasn't, just like how she hasn't revealed the names of her bundlers, which seems to be becoming more and more of a trend in these presidential campaigns. She also hasn't addressed this dark money. And unfortunately, that seems to really be going right in track with the Democrats in general. You know, the party over the years have really decried the power of dark money in elections, saying things just like what Kamala said in that post that you showed at the beginning of this interview, that it's not fair that a group of the real elite rich people can dominate and influence elections, and yet behind the scenes are accepting that exact money from mega donors and these dark money groups. So there's yet to be anything said from the party, the campaign, or Harris about this money that's clearly doing a really good job at fueling her campaign with massive ads and just helping her, it seems like, outspending the Republicans as of now.
Helen, Open Secrets, which you just referenced, has said that a whopping $1.7 billion has already been spent in this election cycle by super PACs already. We're still, just about 7 weeks or so out from this election, so that number is certainly going to increase in these final weeks. I really want to drill down on what you mentioned earlier, that this was usually in the past a purview mostly of the Republicans in terms of dark money spending. Where have you seen that transition where Democrats are trying to compete now for those kind of dollars?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Because dark money is so hard to follow, it is just really this innocuous thing happening behind the scenes. But it is interesting that starting in 2010, when Democrats put together the Disclose Act, which is the one that you mentioned at the top, that would require some more transparency from these dark money donors. It seems as if over the past, 14 years, there's been a trend upwards with the party as well in terms of how much money they're receiving from these dark money groups. And now this election cycle are outpacing their other Republican candidates. Like you said, there's still 7 weeks until the election takes place, so a lot can happen within that time. But I don't get the sense from our reporting that the money coming in, specifically from Future Forward USA Action, the dark money group, is slowing down anytime soon. They seem really determined to continue funding Harris's campaign. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot more dark money coming into that campaign in the upcoming months.
And if we can go to a little bit more of a 10,000-foot view of general spending in this election, one of the interesting trends we've been seeing on the Republican side is that Trump has garnered support from some of the big Silicon Valley and tech CEOs. How does that newfound support kind of play into this funding race between the two campaigns?
Well, it's interesting you say that because CNN had a really great article that came out not too long ago showing that Harris or the Democrats have also benefited from AI investments in cryptocurrencies. So again, I feel like there's a bit of a narrative of Republicans benefiting from these special interests and maybe not enough focus on the fact that Democrat candidates are doing the same thing. So specifically, CNN reported from previously undisclosed tax records that the Future Forward Action, so that dark money group I keep referring to, their top donors include a husband and wife financial traders with ties to AI investments in cryptocurrency. So these special interests in big tech and AI and a bunch of other industries, they're getting their hands in the campaign races on both sides, very much so. And Democrats have said a lot that, again, decrying dark money, but it seems as if they want to also get those checks from the mega donors to benefit their own campaigns, and so thereby allowing the elite to really sort of tighten their grip around the influence of these presidential elections.
Helen Santoro with The Lever, thank you so much for joining us on Rising. Really appreciate your reporting and helping us get some context on the spending race this November.
Thank you, Helen.
Thank you so much for having me.